How's it going, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the shop. We're here at my house today, and as you can tell, it's kind of cold outside, so we've got the heat on in here. So if you hear that click on, I'm gonna pause the video and then we'll pick it back up because it's rather loud. But we're out here today to work with YesWelder again and do another welder review. And what we have today is their YWM-200. This is a 4-in-1 multi-process machine. Now, if you guys have seen me review YesWelder before, you know they're really well known for their multi-process machines. And this one is really cool, and it's something I've wanted to try for a while because it is an aluminum multi-process machine. So what that means is I can weld aluminum in two different processes, MIG and TIG. Now, there's a couple things included in this kit, which we'll go over in a second, but I got something special in that box that I really want to try out. So we'll get to that in a second. First, as you guys know, YesWelder and I have been working together for years, and this machine is something that's cool for something that I do for one of my friends, which is build aluminum racking for his delivery vans. So I use a 1-inch square tube, 2-inch square tube. I've got a bunch of big angle iron, and we're going to try to weld some of this stuff together today. How I used to do it for him is I TIG welded everything. So you know how long that takes. You weld an inch long, it takes 30 seconds. With a aluminum MIG welder, it's going to cut that time substantially. So I'm really looking forward to trying this thing out, and I see myself using it a lot in the future. So to go over a few things real quick, here's what it comes with. You get the welding machine itself. Now this has a 220 volt plug on the back of it. But what's nice about this is if you don't have 220 in your garage, they also include a voltage adapter. And the machine auto senses whether you're 120 or 220, so that's really nice. You get a couple of wire feed wheels for different size wire. So this machine is capable of flux core or solid core wire for your steel MIG welding. Comes with your earth ground clamp. Comes with a Mig Gun. A handy dandy chart, which we'll get to in a minute. Your gas hose, which is really nice. This should thread into any regulator setup that you have. And it also comes with an arc electrode clamp, which we all know Jeff doesn't know how to arc weld, so we're not going to be doing that. All right, so let's check out this chart. Now this is a sticker, and what I'll do is I'll put it on the inside of the welder in a minute. But this is your settings chart. Now what's nice about this is it tells you how to set up everything for whatever process you're doing. It's kind of hard to read, but we have material, what wire, what shielding gas. So if you're welding carbon steel, you want to use ER70S solid wire. Then you're going to weld with 75-25 gas. And then across the top here, it says plate thickness. You go from 20 gauge all the way to 1/4 inch. Depending on what wire size you're using, it's going to tell you how to set up the welder, which is convenient. So this machine is also capable of automatically setting itself up. They refer to it as Synergic Settings. So basically, you pick the thickness of the material you're welding on the screen here, which we'll go over here in a second, and it sets up amperage and wire speed for you. Now, you can fine-tune this machine and you can set it up yourself, but for the beginner, this is a great way to get started, and then you can mess with the settings to get it set up exactly how you want. So look, I'm going to install this sticker real quick. We'll power the machine on and look at the controls on the front of it. All right, let's talk about the front of the machine here. Now, the instruction book is really helpful in setting everything up here, but it is rather simple. So we have a few buttons and a knob on the front. Mode is going to select between manual MIG, Synergic MIG, lift TIG, and stick. And you'll see as I scroll through these, it's going to change the settings for amperage and voltage also. What we're going to work with today is manual MIG. Now the next thing is our materials. We have iron, regular steel with 100% gas. Next we have steel or stainless steel. Now it's really hard to read, but it says 75-25 or 92. So that's going to be for stainless steel, the gas you need. For regular steel, the gas you need. Flux core setting and our aluminum setting, and it says 100% argon here. Now, for fun, since I normally weld with 75-25, the next thing we have over here is our wire diameter of what we're going to use, from 23 to 45 thousandths. And we can scroll through those, whatever selections it allows. So let's talk about the Synergic setting here real quick, because this is where most people are going to start off. On our chart, which is going to be kind of hard to read. So we're going to weld carbon steel with 75/25. And let's say we're doing 1/8 inch. We come over to 1/8 inch, drop down, and you can see if we're using, let's say, 30 thousandths wire, 133 is going to be our amperage setting. We come back to the front of the machine and turn the knob to 133, and the display will come back and show our amperage and voltage settings for that material. Now you can go in and fine tune this, but this definitely gives you a good starting point. Now we are going to be welding aluminum today, so that's the settings that I'm going to show in this video a little bit more in depth. Now the cool thing in the box. Yeah, I've always wanted one of these. It's an aluminum spool gun, and this machine is capable of running a spool gun. So basically, when you're welding with aluminum wire, you want a short distance from your spool to where your arc is happening, because the wire is really soft. It can get bunched up in the liner. Now, included in this kit is a graphene liner for this MIG torch. Now this will work, but the results from the spool gun should be better, because you're having to push that aluminum wire all the way through this graphene liner, going all the way through this cord as well. And if you kink it, or it gets in a coil, it's going to be hard for the aluminum to push through all of this. With the spool gun, you have about 8 inches that it has to push the wire through. So this is a really cool setup. And what I'm going to do is I'll put this on the table, we'll load the aluminum wire into it, we'll go over how to do that, and then we'll hook it up to the machine and set up a few parameters and see if we can MIG weld some aluminum. Alright, so here are the basics of our spool gun. Basically, you have a MIG torch end here, but everything right here is what you would normally see on the inside of the cabinet of this machine. So you have your feed and your tension adjustment and where your spool goes. So the difference here is the spool will go right here in the gun, and then on the top we have our wire feed and tension adjustment. So we got some aluminum MIG wire. This is just from Lowe's Home Improvement. It's ER4043, which is what this machine recommends using for, you know, standard projects. 35 thousandths wire. And what we have here is our feed wheel. Now we need to select the right one, so you can see, hopefully this is for 35 thousandths wire. So this will go into the spool gun, we'll get the wire loaded in, run through a little bit, and we'll make the rest of the connections on our machine, and then we should be able to spool gun, MIG weld some aluminum. Okay, so a little tricky feeding everything through here because this wire is extremely soft. We also need to change the tip on our gun to 35 thousandths so that everything lines up. We've got our spool gun all loaded up, so now we need to make our connections on the front of the machine. Now again, the handy dandy instruction booklet or our sticker on the side of the cabinet makes this really easy. So our lead coming out of the machine is going to go to our positive. Our earth clamp is going to go negative, and the spool gun will go here, and the trigger connection is here. All right, so we're getting everything set up. We have big guy here, little guy here, this one there, and that one there. Basically, this is our torch lead, this is our trigger lead, this is our polarity plug coming out of the machine. That's going to go to positive, and our ground clamp is going to go to negative. Now on the front of the machine, I've selected aluminum, 100% argon. We have our tank back there, ready to go. We're going to do Synergic MIG. Now, on our chart over here, which is also going to be hard to read, come to aluminum, over to 12 gauge, which is what I'm welding with 35 thousandths wire. It says to set the amperage to 120. So on the front of the machine, If we turn our dial, we're going to set our current to 120. It'll save that setting, and our voltage will be at 15.7. So I have a pair of snippers here because we always want to have a clean end to start aluminum welding. And what I'm going to start with is just this piece of 20 gauge plate. Nothing crazy. So I'm just going to try to run a couple beads. Now this does create a lot of smoke and stuff, and the garage is shut because it's 20 degrees outside. But I'm going to just try to pull a couple beads real quick, see how it acts. I'm going to get my welding helmet on. And what I've done is I've prepped some square tubing, which is what I normally weld together for making cages and racks and whatnot. Got some more 20 gauge plate here. But we're going to see how this spool gun works real quick. Just pulling some lines with it. And hopefully all is good and we can stick some other stuff together. Okay, so not exactly what I was looking for. Good penetration on the backside, but I think I'm doing something wrong. So let me try a couple more things and I'll be right back with you. All right, so after a little bit of research, I'm not doing anything wrong. The real thin material is going to soak up heat pretty quick and make my weld look kind of funny. So I'm gonna grab some of the thicker stuff that I have, reset the machine for a thicker material, and we're gonna lay down some more beads. Try to anyway. Cool. Now I think I need a little bit more amperage, but let me clean this up real quick and we can look at it. Now, for my first time MIG welding aluminum in probably 15 years, that actually looks really good. So I think what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to put it in the vise and try to break it apart just to see how the penetration and everything is. And then what I'm going to do is set up how I would normally weld these cages together and see what kind of welds we can get out of the machine. So you can see, not really the best penetration now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the welder up and I'm going to try to replicate this weld on the other side. Looking a lot better on that one. I'll clean it up and we'll take a look at it. I'm liking that a lot better. So what I'll do now is I'll set up another joint. Yeah, I'll get it figured out. But normally how I weld this stuff together would be a T-joint like this. So I'm going to set it up real quick and we'll weld the T-joint out and see what it looks like when we're done. Looking good. A little bit more fine-tuned adjustment with the machine. I think I can really knock some stuff out. Let me clean up one more piece. We'll do another weld, and then we will talk about the Mig Gun that comes with it and how to change this graphene liner. Alright, let's look at this weld real quick. And you can see at the beginning, I'm cold. At the end, I'm hot. Now this could be a couple things. I'm moving too fast in the beginning, or there's a setting on the machine where I can turn up the amperage a little bit for a hot start. So the adjustability of this machine you can really fine tune in your welds, whether you're doing carbon steel, aluminum, MIG, TIG, arc welding, the adjustability is going to get you dialed in perfect. Really happy with how this is working. If I had a few more pieces of scrap laying around, I could really get tuned in. But everything's really stuck together. The advantage of having this spool gun for me is saving time. So I did this weld in about 3 seconds, where with a TIG welder it would probably take 20 or 30 seconds. Now a TIG welder is cleaner, a TIG welder is more controlled, but for industrial type applications, the stuff that I'm doing, this little spool gun's working great. So what I'll do now is I'll lay out our regular MIG torch, and we'll put the graphene liner in it. All right, real quick, here's how we install the graphene liner into our torch lead. So you can see we have a metal flexible end, and then the other end is our graphene liner with an O-ring and a ferrule. So we have to disassemble our torch head, and with this as straight as possible, we have to disassemble our cable end here and pull the old cable out. We have this handy tool that they include for pulling this stuff apart. Now we'll go to the other end and pull the cable out. Now it's important not to kink our new liner, so we're going to feed this in nice and easy and make sure that we don't kink it along the way. Yeah, you can see on the other end we have our cable sticking through. The next step on the torch end is to reassemble our tip and our gas diffuser. Then inside, what will happen is the graphene liner is going to come through all the way, and it'll have to be trimmed inside the machine. That's covered very well in the instructions here. Now I'm not going to complete this installation because I want to be able to MIG weld carbon steel with this machine using this torch head, since I have the spool gun in the box over here. So that's going to do it for the review of the YWM-200 from YesWelder. Really cool. Really excited that I get to use this machine often. The spool gun, I haven't done it in 15 years, so let's just say I've never done it before. It's really easy to pick up and use, really easy to assemble, and it works really well. So with a little bit of fine tuning, I think I can get it a little bit better. But sticking aluminum together, it will definitely do that. So, cool machine, hobbyist friendly. You know, I used all the automatic setups. I haven't done any of the fine tuning yet, but I plan to mess with that a little bit later. So thanks again for YesWelder for letting me check this thing out. Guys, be sure you check them out on the website. And also, I'll put my Instagram name up here. You can also use my affiliate link on their website to get a discount. It's High PSI TV. I'll put a link in the description below. Guys, check me out on Instagram. Follow me for more. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the Packard today and plan on doing some filming with that this weekend as well. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.